The opinions expressed during this show are not necessarily those of this station, its employees, or advertisers, but are solely the opinions of the host and the guests that appear on the show. It's time now for Tea Party Talk with Tom Z, hosted by Tom Zawistowski, president of the We the People Convention and executive director of the Portage County Tea Party. Get ready to become a totally engaged American who is informed about the critical issues that are affecting the welfare and individual rights of all Americans today.
SNK Asphalt and Concrete has been serving residential, commercial, and industrial customers since 1988 with quality paving services. The experts at SNK Asphalt and Concrete have the knowledge and experience to meet your paving needs. From parking lots to driveways to repairs and resurfacing, SNK paves the way. Call today for a free estimate. 330-724-9090. That's 330-724-9090. Or visit online at skasphaltconcrete.com.
Are you concerned about your family's safety? Now, Target Thing Pro Shop is a female-friendly gun shop, range, and training center. Target Thing is in Garrettsville. We're on the web at targetthing.com. Target Thing is where they offer guns, ammo, and training to help you keep your family safe. Target Thing Pro Shop.
Fed up with politicians who care more about special interests than people on Main Street? So is Opportunity Ohio. We're working hard to solve Ohio's toughest challenges so Ohioans can create more jobs to grow our economy. See our plans and consider a tax-deductible contribution at opportunityohio.org. Invest $25 for a signed copy of Matt Mayer's book, The Founding Debate, Where Should the Power Over Our Lives Reside? Please visit opportunityohio.org.
Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us on Tea Party Talk with Tom Z. Whether you're watching the live stream on Wednesday mornings at 10:30 at teapartytalkwithtomz.com, or if you're listening on the radio on WHLO 640 AM in Akron, Ohio, on Saturday mornings from 9 till 9:30. We welcome those of you from around the state as the WHLO signal reaches 66 of the 88 counties in Ohio, as well as parts of Michigan and Indiana and Western Pennsylvania and even parts of Canada. So thanks to all of you and everyone who's listening across the country. We know we have fans in Florida and Colorado and Texas who listen on iHeartRadio at www.640whlo.com. Thanks, as always, for joining us. We have a great show for you today, and I'm very excited about our guest today. Our guest is a friend and a real patriot and a veteran and the treasurer of the state of Ohio, and his name is Josh Mandel. And Josh, thank you for joining us once again on Tea Party Talk.
Hey, Tom. Always good to talk with you.
Man, you have been tearing it up, my friend. You've been very busy with this new website that really has set a new standard nationally for government spending transparency, and one that our listeners are going to be excited about and able to use going forward. It's called the Ohio Checkbook. And Josh, tell our listeners, what have you done here, man? Because you have really put something great out there for the rest of the nation to follow.
Thank you. I believe very strongly in the concept that when government is big, the people are small, but when we can make government small, we make the people big. And that's the premise of putting the state's finances online, is trying to empower the people to hold politicians accountable. And what we did was we took $408 billion worth of spending, everything from $2 for a pack of pencils to millions of dollars for road expenditures and everything in between, and put it up on the Internet. It was 7 years of spending here in the state of Ohio, and we put it in a format where citizens can search and analyze the data, and they can compare agencies, can compare administration to administration, and really hold accountable the politicians and also the bureaucrats deep in the bowels of government. And so I think this is a great tool for everyday citizens. I've been approached by constituents at the grocery store, at the drugstore, since we launched this thing in December, and I've had people say to me, they said, Josh, I've always felt powerless as far as holding government officials and politicians accountable. I've always been very cynical about the system, and now for the first time in a long time, I feel that I actually have the power to hold these politicians accountable. And if we can empower everyday citizens like that, I think it's mission accomplished. But I should say, Tom, we're just getting started. By putting the state's checkbook online, that was only step one. Pretty soon we're going to be asking the cities and the counties and the schools and other local governments throughout the state to partner with us to get their finances online. And then we'd like to look under the hood of the pension funds and partner with the universities as well to get their finances online and really make Ohio a national leader when it comes to government transparency.
Well, folks, I really want you to grasp how significant what Josh and his staff at the Treasury of Ohio have done to, as from a national standpoint. Ohio previously had been ranked, I think it was Josh, 46th in the nation as far as spending transparency, according to the U.S. Public Interest Research Group, which kind of tracks these things. And this website, and it's, folks, you can get it at ohiocheckbook.com, has launched Ohio from 46 in transparency to number 1, folks. This is a big deal, and other states are going to follow, and this is good for conservatism. This is good for democracy. This is good for transparency across our country. And Josh, we just are so excited about this.
I appreciate it. At ohiocheckbook.com, there's a lot of information at the fingertips of everyday citizens. Before we launched this last December, you would have had to have done a public records request to every Tom, Dick, and Harry agency and state government to access some of this information. And it would have been virtually impossible to get all of what we've posted here, this much spending in one place. And so we're proud. We're proud of the new ranking. As you mentioned, last year, before we launched ohiocheckbook.com, Ohio's transparency ranking was 46 in the country. And this transparency ranking, it's this national group that looks at and evaluates the extent to which taxpayers can follow the money in each state. And we've gone, as you mentioned, from 46 in the nation last year to first in the nation this year based on ohiocheckbook.com and the amount of information we posted there, but also the way in which we posted it, making it very easy to search. So even if you're not a computer expert, I think you'll see if you visit ohiocheckbook.com that it's easy to search and navigate and really see how money's being spent. And one of the things we're trying to do with this is change behavior with bureaucrats and politicians. You might have someone who works in some state government agency that for the past 20-plus years has gone to the same conference at Disney World or in San Diego or Hawaii, what have you. And what we'd like to do is make these politicians and bureaucrats think twice before they go to the conference in Hawaii when they could have gone to the conference in Cincinnati. Make them think twice before they stay at the Ritz-Carlton with our tax money when they could have stayed at the Holiday Inn down the street. And one of the problems you see in the state government and local governments as well is oftentimes you'll see government officials that think that the money belongs to them.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that these government officials understand that the money always belongs to the people. Even after the people have paid their taxes, the money still belongs to the people. And, we as government officials, we are just the stewards of that money. And as a treasurer of the state of Ohio, I'm doing everything I can to be not only a good steward and be fiscally responsible, but really empower taxpayers to hold these politicians and other public officials accountable. My ultimate vision here, Tom, is to create an army of citizen watchdogs. 11.5 million people in the state of Ohio create this army of citizen watchdogs who, from their computers at their desk at work or in the computer in their home office or in their kitchen at home, can go on there and hold these public officials accountable for spending decisions. We built into ohiocheckbook.com some interesting share function. So if you want to share information, let's say you see some egregious expenditure, something that violates your sensibilities, and you want to share it via Facebook, via Twitter, via email, you can just hit a button and share it. You can also download information onto a spreadsheet if you want to dig a little deeper and do some pattern analysis of spending within an agency or spending over time. You can do that. You could also dig deeper by looking at the appropriation line item. So let's say you see that some agency spent money at Disney World. You want to track that money back to when the legislature actually passed the budget and how that money got allocated in the first place to that agency. You can track all the way back to that. So it's pretty sophisticated, pretty granular in detail, and I think it's one of the best tools to ever come out of our state government as far as empowering citizens and taxpayers to hold public officials accountable. As you mentioned, I think we are setting a new national standard for government transparency with OhioCheckbook.com. And what I'd like to do is help set off a race nationally for more and more transparency. And so if we can do in Ohio, in other states, help these other state treasurers or governors or legislatures do it in other states, and build up a critical mass of states who's put their finances online, ultimately, once we build up that critical mass of states, we can march to Washington and say to Congress and say to the White House, listen, guys, we've done this at the state level, we've done it at the local level, we've done it all over the country. Now it's time for you guys in Washington to put the federal checkbook online as well.
Wow, Josh, I'll tell you, you're talking our language here in the Tea Party movement. And it's, folks, if you go to Ohio's checkbook, ohiocheckbook.com, you will be amazed at how easy it is. Like Josh said, I'm most impressed as a person who owns a technology company how robust this website is. I mean, you can drill down and see individual checks that were paid to people, and what it was for. It's really staggering to understand, how much money goes through the state coffers. And when he talks about bringing us to the county level and the city and municipal level and even the school boards, Josh, I think you're on the right track. Now, I have a question for you, though. I did see that you've taken this great leap forward, but there is an effort to make this law that it continues. I think that's an important piece. Would you tell folks what you're trying to get done there in the legislature to make sure that this is not something that you just put together and then the next treasurer ignores, but it becomes something that's permanent here in Ohio?
I'm glad you brought that up, Tom. Last year, in 2013, 2 years ago, a legislator from the Cleveland area introduced a bill in partnership with us to compel the state treasurer's office to put the state's checkbook online. We essentially asked the legislature to make us do this. The reason we did that is future state treasurers may not believe in government transparency to the extent I do. They may not be as passionate about it as I, and some of them may have come into the state treasurer's office when I'm done being in that office and take the information offline once citizens are accustomed to having access to that. I want to make sure that does not happen. And so we asked the legislature to codify it and make it a requirement that the state treasurer's office post this information online for citizens to be able to access. The bill was introduced in the spring of 2013. I thought it would pass pretty quickly. I thought it was sort of like baseball, motherhood, apple pie.
Nonpartisan, right?
For it.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, Tom, publicly, most of these politicians in Columbus were for it, when the media asked them. But privately, they were throwing up obstacles left and right, trying to throw marbles under my feet. It took us over a year to get the bill passed out of the State House of Representatives. It actually passed at 1 a.m. in, I think, last June. And it was the last bill that passed before their summer recess. And then we ran out of time and didn't have enough time to get it passed out of the state Senate last year. Fortunately, the same legislator, Mike Davila, reintroduced the bill in this current General Assembly with a partner named Jonathan Deaver. Jonathan's a state rep from Cincinnati. Mike's a state rep from Cleveland. And this bill is called House Bill 46. For any of your listeners here in the state of Ohio that want to call their state reps and state senators to encourage them to support House Bill 46, I think it's good public policy. It essentially codifies what we've already done. It says that the state treasurer shall, in perpetuity, continue to post the state's checkbook on the Internet so citizens have access to all this information.
Well, Josh,
so
I
we're
thank
hopeful the bill get passed, but if we run into obstacles, I might be giving Tom you a call to help gin up some support throughout the state among your listeners to get them to call and email their legislators to get this bill passed.
Well, we're with you, Josh, and we appreciate you being with us today. Great job, my friend. Congratulations. You've made Ohio proud, and we will continue to support your efforts, Josh. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Tom. Have a good one.
Okay, so folks, as Tea Party Talk listeners, we're about action. Talk to your House and Ohio House and Senate representatives and let them know you want this to be the law. You're listening to Tea Party Talk with Tom Z, and we'll be back after this commercial break.
I'm Nick Skiriotis, president of SNK Asphalt and Concrete. As a Greek immigrant who came to America legally, my family and I have lived the American dream of freedom, hope, and opportunity. But that dream is fading due to an out-of-control federal government that is mixed up worse than a soup sandwich. We have a president who is putting more and more regulations on businesses, which is stomping economic and job growth. Government has taken more and more of our freedoms. They have taken over our health care and are trying to take over our schools with Common Core. We as Americans must wake up, Get involved before it is too late. We must fight to preserve the America our founders created, a nation that was founded on faith, family, and freedom. The fight is not easy, but anything worth fighting for never is. Our founders paid a heavy price for freedom. 5 of them did not live to see the independence they were fighting for. 9 of them were tortured. 12 of them lost everything they owned, and 3 of them lost their families. Now it is our turn to sacrifice and to fight to preserve our freedoms and the American dream. I am Nick Skiriotis, president of SNK Asphalt and Concrete, and I approve this message.
Fed up with politicians who care more about special interests than people on Main Street? So is Opportunity Ohio. We're working hard to solve Ohio's toughest challenges so Ohioans can create more jobs to grow our economy. See our plans and consider a tax-deductible contribution at opportunityohio.org. Invest $25 for a signed copy of Matt Mayer's book, The Founding Debate: Where Should the Power Over Our Lives Reside? Please visit opportunityohio.org.
All right, and we are back, and we thank Treasurer Josh Mandel for being with us. Folks, what a big deal that is. I mean, we are just so proud of Josh and, for what he has done for our state, and we think that, you should be proud as well. This is what government is about. It's about transparency. It's about, you being able to know what is going on in your government. And Josh's efforts, have made that possible, and we are just so thankful that he's done that. And, it's going to help you as a citizen. So go to ohiocheckbook.com and look at it and just play around with it. It's pretty amazing. You can see what people get paid. You can see what vendors get paid. You can see where we're spending your money, your tax dollars, and it's really pretty exciting. So thanks to Josh for that and for coming on and telling us about it, and I hope that you will go ahead and use it. Our next topic is the whole situation about the Indiana law that passed that has got everybody in a tizzy. Okay, and it's really unbelievable to me because Indiana passed a law that basically affirmed people's right to religious freedom, which, as you and I know, has been under attack, right? I mean, that's what's the case. It's been under attack for the last, 10 years or so, maybe longer than that. But the bottom line is that 19 other states have similar protections. The U.S. Congress nearly unanimously passed a similar law in 1993. Bill Clinton signed it. Barack Obama, as a senator in Illinois, voted for a similar bill. So what's the big deal? Okay, so why is this all such a big deal all of a sudden? Okay, and as I've explained to you, this is really kind of about the gay marriage situation. Okay, but it's really about intolerance, not by the religious right, but by the left. It's about intolerance in our society of individual freedom and liberty. Intolerance about what you believe in and your right to believe in what you want to believe in. The claims that the Religious Freedom Restoration Act in Indiana is licensing discrimination are completely off base and misinformed. This legislation is simply about preventing government from trampling on the religious liberty of individuals, okay? So what it basically says is that, government cannot, force a person, okay? It's basically, Indiana law says that the state can't substantially burden a person's exercise of a religion unless there's a compelling governmental interest at stake. And it must pursue that in the least restrictive means. So what does that mean? Well, let's take, for example, the case that we've been discussing in Washington State with the 70-year-old florist who, had gay customers who she was happy to sell flowers to. But when they asked her to do the flowers for their wedding, she said, my religion prohibits me from doing that. I don't believe in gay marriage, and therefore I can't do it. And not only did the ACLU take her to court, the state of Washington took her to court, found her guilty of discrimination, and wanted to hold her personally responsible. Okay, so they want to hurt her business. They want to fine her personally, okay, for standing up for her religious beliefs. Now, again, the symbol of justice is a scale, right? That's what the symbol of justice is, a balance. So in that case, the person who's gay that wants her to do the flowers, yes, they are inconvenienced because she won't do their flowers, but they can go to a dozen other flower shops and get those. But her business can be destroyed by the state. How is that in balance? And that's what the Indiana law is saying, is that the government must pursue the least restrictive means of making sure there's not discrimination. Okay? So this is what we want, which as citizens we think is important. So I sent out a press release yesterday discussing the hypocrisy of this. And I want to read from that press release. Tom Zastowski, president of the Ohio Citizens PAC, spoke out today about the hypocrisy of the left and its unwarranted and ill-informed attacks on Indiana and religious freedom. Zastowski said the media knows and the facts prove that the largest group being discriminated against in America today are Christians and Jews, not Muslims, not blacks, not gays, Christians and Jews. They are being unfairly stereotyped as haters and bigots and the source of discrimination in America without any proof. They are being forced out of our schools, our government, and our universities by anti-American extremists on the left. It is Muslims who discriminate against women and gays, but you don't hear the left attacking them. It is blacks whose hate for white police officers are being stoked by fabricated untruths about Ferguson and other case. It is gays who want to force their lifestyle on Christians and take away their First Amendment rights to religious freedom. It's not Christians who want to force their lifestyle on gays. We applaud the Indiana legislator and governor for defending religious freedom because it is under attack. Okay? As I said, the symbol of justice is a scale. Okay? And that's really what the Indiana law strikes that balance. But that's what outrages the left of the media. The Indiana law does not discriminate against gays or anyone else. It does restore the fact that religious freedom is a fundamental right not to be infringed by other rights. The radical regressive left doesn't want equal rights. It wants to dominate you and other citizens to force you to do what they say. And they do it by claiming that the opposite is true. They're prejudiced, but they claim you're prejudiced. And that's the tactic right out of the book, Rules for Radicals, which you and I have talked about on this show. And the media is either complicit in that or foolish enough to buy the lie. And we are not. Gays and anti-American left are the bullies and the hypocrites and the bigots, not Christians and Jews. So that's what I wrote yesterday. And that's really the truth about this situation. This is out of control. There is no reason, for this outrage because it isn't these laws have been on the books for 19 years. Is there some big thing where people put up signs saying gays not welcome at my store? There hasn't been, has there? But there's been cases of photographers and florists and wedding planners being attacked by the left. That's who's intolerant, folks. You need to stand up and defend your rights. You have a right to believe in what you believe in, and no one has a right to tell you, okay? But this is what it's all about. It's not about gays or marriage. It's about statism. It's about socialism. I heard on a radio show this morning that Mikhail Gorbachev's wife did her doctoral thesis about how important it was to destroy religion in the Soviet Union in order for communism to fully take hold. Because as long as you answer to a higher power, meaning your God, then the state isn't the ultimate control of your life. And that's what Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton and Harry Reid and Nancy Pelosi and all these other bigots want to do. They want to control your life. They want to tell you what you have to believe. Doesn't that sound like Nazi Germany, right? You got to be blonde-haired, blue-eyed, an Aryan race, you're superior, and anything else is not? That's not what America is. America was built on religious freedom, and we must defend our religious freedom. And I'm so excited because, in Arkansas, this whole hoopla is going on. And guess what? Arkansas just passed the same type of law the day after Indiana did. And people are like, how can they do that? Well, you know how they can do that? Because they believe in the Constitution. And they believe in your fundamental rights and they're willing to protect them. That's how they can do that. All right? And it's about time we on the right stood up and said, we won't let you call me names because you're a liar and you have no facts. Okay, so the NCAA, who wants to protest, with the tournament that's coming up, what are they doing? They've got these young blacks from all over America making them $1 billion, and they don't even give them a college education. That's discrimination, not what the Indiana law says. You got Tim Cook from Apple saying that, Indiana's discriminating, and he's doing business with China and Saudi Arabia and Russia where they kill gays. That's how out of whack this is. You come to Tea Party Talk with Tom Z for the truth. I try to give you the truth. I try to give you a balanced perspective. We don't hate gays. We don't hate anybody, but we want and will defend our rights. You have no right to infringe on mine, just as I have no right to infringe on yours. And that's what this law does, and that's what you need to understand. And you need to do your part. I sent out a press release about this. Did you forward it to your friends? Did you like it on Facebook? Did you tweet about it? Did you stand up and say you stand with Indiana when everyone was attacking them? We got to wake up, folks. We got to do what's right. We got to defend ourselves against these forces that are trying to hurt you. Speaking of forces that are trying to hurt you, I'd like to wrap up with a couple little things. How about Hillary Clinton wiping her server, completely wiping her server clean? This woman wants to be the president of the United States, and yet, as Secretary of State, she illegally kept a separate server, used an illegal email address, basically exposed herself to espionage and basically put our national security at risk. And then she has the gall to completely erase the server when she has been subpoenaed, when the records were asked for, and she claims there's nothing to hide? If there's nothing to hide, Hillary, why did you erase the server? There's nothing to hide. You turn it over, right? But those of you in the car listening or watching the show on your computer or iPhone, you want to elect this person president of the United States? Based on what? It's outrageous. She should not have any consideration. The Democratic Party should be embarrassed to support someone like this. That's how disgusting the left is. They have no morals. There is no truth on the left. There's only power. And that's what Hillary Clinton's all about. There is a group fighting back, and I was really happy about this. Those of you who've listened to the show regularly know that I talked about a thing called Fan Freedom. And basically, this is an effort to fight back against pro sports, and concert, companies that are basically, they already have a monopoly in pro sports, right? We give them antitrust exemptions in baseball and things like football and stuff like that, okay? And so they already have a monopoly, so they could charge you whatever they want and extort money from fans. But now, after you buy your tickets, they want to tell you that you don't own them, that you have to only sell them through them so they can make even more money when you sell your tickets that you can't use. And the company that's not involved in this is called StubHub. And this week they filed a lawsuit against the Golden State Warriors and Ticketmaster in the Northern District of California, accusing the two of conspiring to create an illegal resale market by telling season ticket holders to only resell their tickets through their platform. The suit alleges the team has informed season ticket holders that they should sell their tickets through anything other than Ticketmaster's Exchange or NBATicket.com, or they will have their ticket privileges revoked. Think about that. So you buy a ticket, and they're telling you don't even own it because they want a monopoly not only on the first sale of the ticket, but on the ongoing sale of the ticket. It's outrageous. So somebody else is fighting back. We're glad of that. Before we wrap up the show, we've got a couple other things to talk about. Tax Day is coming up. And Tax Day, April 15th, was kind of when the Tea Party all started. In 2009, the Cincinnati Tea Party is having a big blowout with Matt Kibbe from Freedom Works, Brian Thomas from WKRC in Cincinnati, down in Cincinnati. If you go to the Cincinnati Tea Party website, you can learn more about that big event. And if you want to learn more about your local Tea Party group, go to OhioLibertyCoalition.org, where you will be able to find the Tea Party group nearest to you. Thanks for tuning in for The Truth today. I'll be back again with you next week. You're listening to Tea Party Talk with Tom Z.
This is former State Representative Matt Lynch inviting you to join me for common sense conservative conversation each Wednesday evening at 6:30 p.m. on How I See It. You can listen live or listen to the podcast anytime, 24/7 at mattlynch.com. Each week I am joined by my daughter Karen Quay on a rhino hunt as we separate the phonies from the real conservatives who are willing to stand up for faith, family, and freedom. We challenge the politically correct politicians who say one thing to get your vote, then do another once they are in office. 2015 is a new year, but too many of our politicians didn't get the message that business as usual in Washington is no longer acceptable. If our representatives in Congress are too scared or too weak to speak up, then we must raise our voices and demand they fight back against the liberal loonies. Never forget that we, the voters, are in charge, and we are the masters of our government, and we cannot let politicians ever forget it. So listen in every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. or anytime at mattlynch.com. I'm Matt Lynch, and that's how I see it.